Awesome. You want to protest for solidarity? That's great. It works for that. You want to protest to articulate grievance, to give it words? Invaluable from a resistance perspective. But is any of that sufficient to move you down the road? No. What you do on a Saturday afternoon might be useful, might make you feel great, but it's what you do on the Monday morning after and the Tuesday and the Wednesday that makes the difference between protest as a pressure release and protest as a pressure creator. Resistance does the pressure creator, not the pressure release. You want to keep up that pressure once you get it. Hey folks, I'm Tad Sturmer. I'm an American scholar of resistance history and the author of A Resistance History of the United States. Yeah, and I'm in London this week. Here's what abusive authority loves about protest: when it stays unfocused, when people don't pass the next 10 words test, when they don't articulate clear grievances, they're focusing on different targets, when there's no real strategy. All of that, because it's diffuse, ensures no direct action. Nothing clear and coherent can come of it. Protest becomes performance. It's cathartic for participants. It really does matter, but it's irrelevant to those who are abusing their authority. All public protest has value. A lot of you have been talking about that. It enables people to voice grievance together, to feel less alone, to do something when they don't know what else to do because nobody else is doing anything. It generates visuals that spread solidarity. Other people see what you're doing and say, you know what, I might do that too. And most importantly, it signals to those abusing their authority that comes from the consent of the governed, by the way, that their path won't be clear or unimpeded or unquestioned. But there's a real question here from a resistance standpoint, which is about protest as part of the active refusal and pushback that forces change to policy, change to trajectory. Not just addressing a particular grievance in the moment, but dismantling the systems that enable abuse to repeat. The Montgomery bus boycott, lunch counter sit-ins, Pettus Bridge, March on Washington, you might think about those as individual protests that resulted in change, but none of them were that. They were persistent, sustained, tactical as part of a resistance movement. They were all aimed at broader structural change, enforcing the 14th and 15th Amendments, which they eventually got through the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Acts. And so it worked. Not completely, but enough to change things for 50 years. That was protest as part of a resistance process. But now look at protests that weren't. Much more recent American resistance moments that didn't become movements. The Women's March, Occupy, even the massive BLM protests in 2020. Enormous turnouts, real rage, genuine grievance. Nobody can argue that. But ask yourself, what change followed? Some argy-bargy around reducing police budgets, and then it all comes back with a vengeance.